Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I got a post here from Bison Link, and they say Bison Link RWA Markets is live on Hedera. Non-custodial infrastructure to configure and deploy tokenized RWA vaults in minutes. Built for institutions, partners, and builders. Okay, so I've got like a video here and you can probably see it playing, so it's gonna just re-loop back over. So I'm gonna let you guys see this just so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with here. So introducing Bison Link RWA Markets, built for RWA strategies, treasuries, receivables, private credit. Live on Hedera, powered by Bison Link. Configure, deploy, ship a vault shelf. For partners and integrators, one interface, multiple vaults. Bison Link RWA Markets, non-custodial RWA vault platform. Okay, very impressive, very impressive. So one of the things that really caught my eye about this was the private credit, right? So normally I like to give you a breakdown, but sometimes I don't do it as succinct as I'd like to. So I've just got an AI breakdown of this for you. So private credit refers to non-bank lending where investment firms rather than traditional banks provide loans to companies. These privately negotiated loans, often to small or mid-sized firms, are not traded on public markets and are frequently used for acquisitions or growth, offering investors potential for higher floating rate yields. It has grown into a 2 trillion plus market, often providing faster, more flexible financing. Okay, so when you talk about that, what are you talking about then? So we're talking about like angel investors, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of angel investors, or even VCs, venture capitalists. These are people who've got money, but they might want to invest it in different ways. So, you know, everybody looks at different ways to invest money, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat. Some people go into real estate. Some people go into stocks. Some people are in crypto. There's numerous ways. Some people gamble. Like, there's just different ways that people choose to try and invest money. I wouldn't really say gambling is investing, but, you know, that's up to other people if they feel that they're good at it, whatever. But, this is a different way as well that you can also do this. So this is kind of like, okay, let's just say you see a business and you really think it has potential. You know, you see a business and you think, this sounds very promising. Like, you know, they maybe, you know, show you their prospects, what they intend to do, and they give you like a 5-year business plan, and you might really just believe in the vision. Well, you can invest into that company, right? And because it's a private credit line, you're probably going to get a lot more money out of it. Why? Well, obviously they're not going to the typical banks and things like that. Like if a bank gives you a loan, you're going to be dealing with like the bank's rates and whatnot, right? And obviously if a bank is more willing to give you the loan, it makes you feel that it's a more likely a safe bet, right? Because they're going to have vigorous checks that they do before they're willing to give the person or the company money, funding, right? So if you're saying, well, look, I can see that, for example, you can't get a loan from the bank, but I really do believe in your company. I think it has a lot of potential. Then you could say, okay, I'll invest in it. That's fine because I do believe in it. But you'll get a higher rate of interest, right? If it's successful, because you're basically lending money to someone who possibly can't get it elsewhere, right? It could be that they would like to go to a bank, but they can't, right? And so that's where the risk reward ratio comes in for both people, because for the person with the company, okay, you're accepting money where you may not have been able to have got it in other circumstances, but you're accepting that you're taking a hit that they're going to take some of your profit, right? Because you're giving them a bigger rate. But on the other hand, if you didn't take that money, you might not have been able to have got it from a bank in the first place, so then you wouldn't have been able to fund your business operations. Same for the VC or the angel investor. It's a thing of, okay, if I'm giving this guy this money, it probably means that he might not have great credit history. You know, it might be that he's struggling to get a loan elsewhere, so he's coming to me out of desperation. So it's a thing of, I could risk doing this, and it might be that the person's not very good with money and might not do very well, that kind of thing, or might not be able to pay back. So there's that potential. But on the flip side of that, if it does go well, I'm going to stand to earn a lot more because I basically gave him that money when nobody else would. So I can give myself a much higher line of interest because of that. So it works both ways, right? But yeah, like there are people out here who do this kind of stuff. Like there was another developer who actually released something like this for venture capitalists, where like you could go on, you could see what their, you could see a load of people putting up their business prospects, and you could look at them, and if you wanted to invest into them, you could. And that was on Hedera as well, but I just can't for the life of me remember the name of them. But yeah, like we're talking here about RWA tokenized vaults. Tokenization, once again, like this is what we're dealing with. Absolutely great stuff to see here. And as you can see, it's here like in terms of for, institutions. So, this isn't just your standard run of the mill retail. This is, the big dogs. This is, big institutions. But yeah, even like private credit, it can be, retail, but we're talking the higher end of retail, right? Like you're not going to be, the average person working a 9 to 5 being able to invest into a company, because they're going to be needing a bit more money than, it's not going to be like $100, right? They're going to be needing like a lot more money. So it's going to be a thing of obviously people who are much higher up in the tax bracket, who are doing this kind of funding, doing these kind of loans and stuff. But once again, guys, we're seeing here the kind of services that can be provided by Hedera. That's what we're seeing right here. So I think it's great. Like, I think it's good that there's these type of opportunities, because at the end of the day, like Hedera should be for everyone. Like these networks should be for everyone. It shouldn't just be for just the poor retail. It should be for the middle class retail. It should be for the higher class retail. It should be for everyone. And to be honest with you, the more this kind of stuff is happening, the more like all this activity is happening, the better it is for the network anyway. It's growing the ecosystem. So it's all a positive. I know a lot of people like look at crypto as like, hey, this is for the retail, the small people who, wasn't getting the same opportunities and things like that. And I do agree with that. But at the same time, I don't think people should be locked out, because that's what decentralization is, right? Decentralization is, it's open for everyone. Everyone's got the same kind of opportunities. It's leveling the playing field for everyone. So they have just as much right to benefit from this. So, I've got no issue with that personally. And I definitely look forward to just seeing, how this works out. I definitely look forward to like looking into this more and seeing what kind of services they do end up, serving for people. But it's definitely looking positive. And just on the flip side of this as well, like we're talking about the people who are like investing the money. Think about the people who are going to get investment. Like that's great. That's them putting themselves out here now and having that chance. Like they might have this great business idea, but they just can't get the funding to get it off the ground. And you've got to think people like, Mark Zuckerberg, who did Facebook, and I forgot his full name, but Tom, who did MySpace. Like these are all just ideas. These are just people with ideas. And some of them were fortunate enough to get the business off the ground and make it hugely successful. Not everybody does, but having that chance, sometimes money can be the difference of whether your company is successful or not. Now, don't get me wrong. Some ideas just won't work. Some people will fail. That's just a part of life. But there could be people out there with an absolutely genius idea, and all they need is the right backing or, a bit of money or to meet the right people. And it could be something that's hugely successful. And so, giving people that opportunity, if they really think that it could be something and they're willing to put the work in to try and make it a success, well, this is opening the door for them, right? To try and get more funding to try and, like build that vision. So yeah, I'm all for it. Like, and I think it's great to see these kinds of services come to the platform, to the ecosystem, to the Hedera hashgraph. And I'll definitely keep an eye on this. Like Bison Link, from what I've seen, like I've done a video on them before, said they sound promising. Once again, this is definitely a promising feature that they're bringing out, product. So I'll just continue to keep an eye on this and keep you guys informed. But this is a real great update in my opinion. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.